We've talked a few times over the past couple of years about one set of abuses of ICE, abuses that generally happen in detention centers that don't get nearly enough attention. That is pervasive and seemingly allowed sexual assaults that happen in a number of these locations. So we want to talk about a report out of some information from the ACLU, some from ProPublica, who've done a great job of summarizing some of the more recent claims that have been made at certain detention facilities. Guards in an immigrant detention center in El Paso, for instance, sexually assaulted and harassed inmates in a, quote, pattern and practice of abuse, according to a complaint filed by a Texas advocacy group. The allegations maintain that guards systematically assaulted at least 3 people in a facility overseen by ICE. What they apparently had were areas that they knew cameras were blind to, and so they would lure the same women to those locations to then abuse them where they can't be seen. They would try to intimidate the women, saying that no one will believe you if you say anything, and if you do, we will deport you. Or if you behave, we'll help you to be released. So they attempted to psychologically manipulate these women as well. Several guards forcibly kissed and touched the intimate parts of at least one woman. Her attorneys have requested that immigration officials pause her deportation pending a review of the matter because she's supposed to be deported inside of a week. The woman said in a telephone interview that she would rather return to Mexico, even though she's in danger there, because she worries about being targeted in the detention center for speaking up about the abuse. And as we said, they are being told that if they say anything, they will be punished as a result of that. That apparently worked because this woman is willing to be deported back to a place she fears she might be assaulted or murdered in, rather than deal with the strike back from these ICE agents.
I mean, a couple things to say. One, this is absolutely in line with Trump's DHS and ICE priorities when it comes to immigration, which is be worse than drug cartels and gangs in Central America and in Mexico. That's what you've got to do. Oh, coyotes and people who are smuggling people across the border are raping women and assaulting them. Be worse than that. Do that so that deterrence will eventually make an immigrant not want to come to this country, make someone not want to come to this country. So congratulations, because we're now on par with that. We have now the amount of sexual assaults rampant in the same gangs that migrants are trying to escape from here in this country, in our own gangs, in ICE. And the second thing is, this is what happens. This is what happens when you dehumanize people. When you dehumanize and you forget about people and they are in detention for months or years, their lives don't matter to you. Their lives are disposable, and it's chilling, and it's not what. Look. Erase the idea that crossing the border is illegal. All right, erase that from your brain. Everyone, human beings deserve respect. They deserve to be protected. They deserve to not be assaulted when they are being held against their will already.
Yeah.
Let alone just in life. So, but again, this is what happens in this country when we say that when you've crossed the border, you're suddenly a criminal. Then anything goes. Then you can be dehumanized and you can be assaulted systematically. And hey, our gangs will do it.
Yeah, you mentioned the respect thing. One of the claims is that one woman says that guards would stand and watch her while she used the bathroom. I guess as an intimidation tactic or whatever. And in terms of how pervasive it is, between 2010 and 2016, about 14,700 complaints alleging sexual and physical abuse were lodged against ICE. Just in that period, only a small fraction were ever even investigated by the Office of the Inspector General. I want to give you an example of one particular case. So this is a slightly older one from a couple of years ago. In a May federal court filing in Houston, a Mexican woman said that she was in an ICE facility there back in 2018, where she and 2 female detainees were moved to an isolated cell. Around midnight, 3 men wearing facial coverings entered the cell. They raped and beat them. The immigrants were bused to Mexico just hours later, and one of the women says that she discovered she was pregnant from the assault. A spokesperson for the company overseeing that detention center, Core Civic, who we've talked about quite a bit, denied the allegations, calling them slanderous. And there was one case, Edie versus Sharkey, where the detention center claimed that there was no merit to the case because the sexual abuse was consensual between a person being held against their will and one of their guards, that it was consensual. No, there's no respect. There's no acknowledgement of other people's fundamental humanity, and this sort of thing. Look, it certainly seems like it's getting worse under Trump, but it was terrible beforehand. Some agencies, including ICE, and ICE might in fact be the best example of it, are so fundamentally rotten to their core that they cannot be reformed. They would resist, possibly violently, any reform that would be necessary to fix it. It needs to be taken out from the ground, root and stem. And, to the extent that any of its functions actually need to be replicated, they can be done by some other organization, which won't be tainted by the pervasive racism, misogyny, and sexual and physical abuse.
Yes.
For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.